And I believe we could probably start.
SAST is up. Why is it? Oh. Yes, okay, so for static analysis, I am working on the script right now for a category maturity scorecard. We're gonna be using Ultimate Customers for this. So I set up a Calendly link. We just need to send that out as soon as the script is finalized, but we have the jobs to be done in the scenarios. Some more to come on that. And then we'll also be piggybacking off of the work that the code quality team has done. They've done a lot of back-end work on being able to show inline code quality issues. And so I'm going to be doing some design explorations coming up on what it would look like to add SAST and secret detection in line as well. Like it's a little bit tricky if there's a code quality issue and a SAST issue on the same line. So we'll definitely be asking for feedback on that. So that's it for design on
I have a link for you, Becca, on the code quality side. So the code quality team is using a slightly different version of our severity icons to display code quality things in the diff. So the challenge will be,
I know, merging their icons with our like severity icons. I know. So there's going to have to be some collaboration there, because I saw in one of the code quality issues, they have a couple open. I saw that you chimed in with the severity colors and icons for vulnerabilities. So yeah.
I think it would be a good time to explore how other systems, SonarQube, SonarSource, other people who are doing this so that we don't run into one icon means three different things.
Right.
Good luck, just hover kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll start to look into that.
Yeah.
All right, dynamic.
We are currently wrapping up the desk configuration, which will be a lot like fuzzing, where we'll create a snippet and then the user can go and paste that in to configure their desk scanner. We're also opening an issue about, we have some security concerns with additional headers when you're creating a site profile for on-demand scans, where you can see everything in plain text, and we might not want to expose those headers to everyone. So we're thinking of following the pattern that environment variables have, where you can type in your key and your value, you mark it secret, and then you can never edit it. And if you want to change it, you just have to delete it and recreate it. That way no one will see the plain text. We're also working through a category maturity scorecard to verify DAST's viable status. I don't think that one was done yet. So the viable status might have been just a hangover from before we started doing these category maturity scorecards. So we'll be making sure that that's where we are. Composition is next.
I guess maybe Nicole switch these to read only. But I'm doing a category maturity scorecard for composition analysis as well. We're going to use internal users to kind of just similar to dynamic justify viable. And then if we get the feedback that we're looking for, we'll open it up to external users if complete seems like it's within range. And then I guess I'll read these for Nicole. She wants to get to enable via MR soon on the configuration page. Looking at 13.11 might get pushed to 14 as we have a bunch of breaking changes we have to finish for 14. Who else is looking at that page and what are your timelines? I know there's a couple of ongoing efforts with the configuration page. But I'll follow up with Nicole on that one.
Just to vocalize what I'll write here, fuzz testing, we're actually considering moving more toward snippet-based approach rather than the MR-based approach as really the primary way we want users to add configuration. Once we started digging into the enable via MR configuration, we found a lot of complexity there that users might be better able to address just by copying the snippet versus some of the technical challenges we found trying to do it ourselves.
Say I'm asking for a friend. How does that work? And the general flow of snippets.
Yeah, is that
sure.
from the documentation that they would copy that snippet?
No, so if you go to the configuration page, so it's actually live if you want to click through it on a GitLab.com project. You'll click enable fuzz testing on the configuration page. You'll fill out a few fields. You'll click generate snippet, and it gives you the text you need to copy and paste into your pipeline file. And if users have very complicated workflows, they'll best know how to integrate that. And we also have a button that will open the IDE, populate it for you if you want to do that as well.
Is there any interaction with I know there's like a snippets tab or like a snippets navigation item. Does it go there after it's been created as a snippet?
No, so I'm using the word snippet to mean short block of text. No connection with GitLab snippets.
Got it. They're different.
Yeah, same word, different
Don't
definition.
say. Okay, I thought there was like an intersection between that feature versus the idea of snippet, but I like that approach.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this third item is that Nicole put in the agenda, but there's a link there, so we can read that.
So this one that she's talking about, this is how we wanted to make all the different scanners return a specific error code based on what happened in the scanner. So this was a result of that research we did where users would expect all green if it passed and there's no vulnerabilities, a different status if it scanned it, but there were vulnerabilities found, and a different status still if there was, hey, the scanner didn't even work because it was misconfigured or something like that.
Awesome. Okay, and
Okay,
fuzzing.
you want to run us through fuzzing?
Yeah, I read like for protocol API and the cover guide, it does each topic, like category technology, we're using a different like session for the protocol fuzzing. I think we're going with the burn solution first, that we're going to rebrand the peach fuzzing, which we purchased, and change the logo and probably color font a little bit to make it feel a little bit like GitLab, and ship it to the user first, and then slowly in the future integrate it back into GitLab. And there is currently research going on, which is aiming to find out how user will use protocol fuzzing, will help us in the future when we try to integrate it back into GitLab, how we are going to do this. So that's an ongoing research. And for API fuzzing, like we just launched the initial setting with the code snippet, and API fuzzing is quite complex. So we're going to probably enable other settings like checks, group assertion, profiles, and those thing with code snippets, and we plan to run a research to get user feedback, how they use complex setting, and also get feedback between the using code snippet and MR. So we're now going more towards the code snippet because it's easier technologically and it's also aligned with Verify's team's kind of their vision. So it works better, but it's also good to collect some feedback from user exactly what they think. Like, then they can probably, if they really think that they want to directly rate MR there, I think we're still able to do that, give them option. Like at the meantime, keep the code snippet. So in the future, they can still do a lot of things there to improve it. And for coverage guidance, we are wrapping up on the first version of corpus management. So in our configuration list, if you go to coverage guided filing, you will see the button manage with a drop down that you can manage corpus there. And I think we are going to see a list the user can upload a new corpus, and in the future we will iterate on it, have more features. But I think that's it. Do I have something else, Sam? Like something I missed?
No, I think you got them all.
Ah, we're done. Thread instance. Sorry.
Yeah, so I have the the first thing that I'm gonna do solution validation, user testing on the security scanner status widget. Andy, I saw your feedback yesterday, so oh, I haven't checked my to-dos yet today, so I'm not sure if you responded, but I came up with new scenarios and posted them in the issue.
Okay, yeah, I'm mid-response on that, so
Okay, perfect.
some tweaks, not a lot.
Okay, cool.
And then design-wise on our plate will be auto-resolve. So users can now opt into automatically change the status of vulnerabilities no longer detected in the default branch to resolved. And that complements our kind of status of no longer detected while accounting for moved. And also we have something which is duplicate vulnerabilities, which we just encountered the edge case for. So we're going to have this milestone designs for duplicate vulnerabilities and auto-resolved. So resolved. And the next thing came out of the auto-resolve work, which was we need a place to house this setting. We needed to create a new area. And there's talk of getting alignment towards like the new styles of buttons that we have and general overall usability improvements. So we started an issue to align the configuration page so that it is scalable and meets our content and design guidelines. These designs don't change. There's no new net functionality in these designs. So they're just taking what we have and kind of re-architecting it design-wise, not code-wise, for simplicity and for scalability in the near term. So I'm sure as Camille, you've been working on extending out the fuzzing capabilities. We'll get to a point where when we have that third or second level left-hand nav, that we'll probably be switching to that while still keeping the same structure in those designs that I have for the subsequent pages. And I know that was a note from Neil. I was wondering how we're balancing all of these settings initiatives, but we can get to that after that. So if there's no questions or comments on thread insights. On Sam.
Annabelle, you put these in. Do you want to talk through them? If not, I'm happy to as well.
Yeah, sure. I can talk about them. we're still iterating on scan execution policies. Our first MVC was you go to the policies page and the only thing you could see was a drop down where you'd select a security project, and that's where you would write all of your policies and it would be linked. For the second iteration, we're going to have that drop down still available. You can still create a project or you can have one auto created for you, but you'll also be able to see all of your policies and create policies in YAML only for now within your current project instead of leaving and going into this separate security project. Next up is security approvers. I talked with Andy and I brought it up in the UX call yesterday. It might be a bigger issue, maybe not so secure focused, but it might be something that the entire organization might benefit from. So I think we need to take a step back and look at that one again. I haven't gotten a chance to look through all the things I've been meaning to, but there are links to the security approvers issue there and the issue that Andy commented on for who was the group that wanted
Manage, I think.
manage.
So this is about
So-
permissioning more than anything.
Right, I'm sorry, I meant to say
Yeah.
permission. So yeah, for us, it's security approvers, but it's adding that next level of permissions where only certain people can do certain things. And I think that's a feature that a lot of different groups might be wanting and interested in, and it might be blocking certain things. So we should talk about that later too, because I haven't gotten a chance to.
Yeah, that's a good point. We should bring that up with the access group. I'm hoping to do this in a way that actually does not impact them, because we do have that group, which is a that security policy project. And so I'm hoping that most of the permissions end up just getting stored on those projects. And then for the global approvers, again, I'm hoping that that's not a new role in the GitLab sense of a role. You know, we may market it as a role, but like in the back end, I don't want to get intermixed with all of the technical debt and the mess that is our current permission system. So rather than creating a new role inside of GitLab, I'm hoping to have that be kept a little bit separate so that you can have a list of organizational security approvers that's not intermixed with all of the rest of the access system. So I'm hoping that we can implement this in a way that minimally impacts them, but yeah, that's a great point, Annabelle. Let's make sure to have those discussions so that we're collaborating there, and maybe there's some areas of overlap where we can jointly work together to benefit.
And this is something that we don't, since we are storing these policies in that separate project where you can set separate maintainers and they can do the approving of the policies, this won't be needed until we start storing those policies in the database, right?
That's not quite true. It won't be needed until we hide away that project, because once we hide it, then they'll lose the ability to customize the maintainers. So where we store it, the database or the project, it doesn't really matter. What matters is they lose the ability to edit the permissions on that project once we hide it away.
Okay, so in the back end, it could still be using, like if we show them, hey, here are your approvers, it could still actually be using maintainers in that separate project just because it's
Yes.
hidden, but we could, okay.
Yep, absolutely. I guess the other note for our group is I'm just finishing a problem validation cycle to learn more about group and instance policies at the very tail end of that. So I'll be presenting the opportunity canvas for that soon.
Sam, do you mean instance or workspace?
Yes, workspace.
Okay. Just want to make sure. As a person who
Right.
has gotten
Thanks
yelled
for-
at for saying instance when I didn't mean it.
Yep, thanks for that clarification.
But that's fantastic though, because that's certainly something I know that Andy and I are looking at as well, is that new workspace concept is going to be hugely important.
Yep. Yeah, in any case, this would not be tied to the, so instance is an overloaded term, right? Instance, the object in the back end of GitLab means like the actual installation of GitLab that's like tied to their hardware. That's not where we would be basing this off of. It would be associated with the company. right? So if you wanted to have a company-wide policy that applied to all of the groups in your company, that's the level that we're talking about. And that's all for me. It's like Neil has some items down here just to raise awareness. I don't know if we need to talk through these or not.
I don't know if any of them actually conflict with one another as much as they're all happening in the same space, right? So you think of enabling for non-ultimate users, that's kind of partitioned away from the ultimate experience. The refactoring for extensibility seems to be like a layer above. I'm assuming that's to make sure that we can show we use the term enabled more accurately, but that could be something else. Enable dependency scanning in the MR. I mean, that should be following the same patterns we have today. Same with enabling secret detection. And then the usability is just a layer that accounts for all of those things in a holistic system.
Justin, do you want to verbalize that?
Yeah, I just wanted to write it first. So I pinged everyone last night on an issue that I put together so we can start discussing everything that our team's going to be going through over the next probably 6 to 9 months with UX designer, product designer, resource management basically is what it boils down to. So we're backfilling Kyle, and that's going to take a while for that person to ramp up once we finally hire that person. And then Andy is going to be out for parental leave for several months. So we've already been in a product designer to product manager ratio offset where we haven't had a one-to-one relationship. So we've been dealing with that pretty well, but it's going to continue to slide for at least this year, I figure, something close to that. So I just wanted to talk about what we might be able to do to mitigate that as best as we can. And unless we start hiring again, it's always going to be off. It'll always be 5 to 6 kind of thing. So to some degree, whatever we figure out now will continue to help us in the future anyway. So check that out and we can start discussing it and hopefully come up with some solutions.
There was an offer extended to a new designer.
I don't know if it hasn't been an official offer. I still have to do the reference checks.
Okay.
I can't imagine those will change anything. I mean, you know, when you submit a reference, they're positive, they're people you know. So we'll see. But yeah, if that goes well, probably the end of this week, we'll start to finalize that. I also haven't read the handbook to see what the next steps are for that actual step. But yeah, it's getting closer. And then once I know for sure, I'll communicate with everyone what the deal is. I think that's it. Does anyone have anything else? All right. Where do we